and that helps me establish myself, my future, and all our community's future. That's all we wanted, and that's what we've gotten today. Thank you.
Reactions continuing to pour in from outside India's top court, the Supreme Court, and I'm now being joined by my colleague Ramesh Ramachandra here as well in Wion Studios. Ramesh, a landmark judgment for the LGBTQ community that will go down in history essentially as a moment, as one of the pivotal moments for the LGBTQ community's rights in the country.
Absolutely. Thank you, Krishna. This is the big news coming out of India this moment. It's noon India time or 6:30 GMT. India's top court has decriminalized homosexuality. Consensual gay sex is now legal in India. That's the big news coming out of New Delhi this moment, where a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court is reading out the judgment. 2 of the judges, including the Chief Justice, have delivered their judgments. We are waiting to hear from the remaining 3 judges as of now. But the news coming out of the Supreme Court of India this moment is that there are at least 4 concurring judgments on this issue, which means that homosexuality has been decriminalized. Consensual gay sex is now legal in India. All right, we are getting reactions thick and fast. Joining me live now from New Delhi are 2 of our guests joining us this moment. Let's go across to the first of them, if they can hear me from the Wion studios. Take us through your initial reaction this moment as the judgment comes in on the decriminalization of homosexuality in India. Your thoughts? All right, we'll try to fix that audio connection with our guests in just a bit. But the big news coming out of India this moment is that the country's top court has decriminalized homosexuality. Consensual gay sex is now legal in India. And India is one of 27 countries in the world today who have done so. This is a historic moment in India. As we speak, the Supreme Court is reading out the judgment, but celebrations breaking out across India. These are the latest visuals coming to you from India's capital, New Delhi, where activists are pouring out in the streets to welcome the Supreme Court judgment. All right, I'm told that my colleague from Chennai in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, Siddharth, is joining us live from Chennai. Siddharth, good afternoon to you. Take us through what is happening around you as we speak. It is a historic moment, no doubt, for India.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The LGBTQI community in Chennai is extremely jubilant. They're celebrating because it's a long-fought and hard-fought battle for them. They've never experienced this kind of joy. It was last time in 2009 that they heard something like this, a judgment like this in support of, gay sex. But then now this judgment actually comes as a big relief for them. We have some of the activists with us, LGBT community members with us, and one of them, Mr. Anish, is willing to speak to us.
We couldn't describe our happiness. Till date we were like culprits. Many people lost their life because of this British era law. Many people in closet, many people denied their rights. We treated like a criminal for who we are. But today we are very happy that Supreme Court has decriminalized this British era law, and we get our rights. It's a next step for us because this is not the end. This is the beginning. Next step is we will fight for our other rights, and we are very happy. We couldn't describe this moment. It's like a dream. It's like a dream because we got the victory for our 30 years of protest. Many people helped us helped in this. Many people involved in this. We thank everyone, especially we thank our TG community people, because they are our backbone. They are the backbone for our LGBT people. They helped us to come out. They helped us to protest for our rights. And we at this current time, we thank all the medias, because you people made this. You people made our voice to hear all over the world. We thank you all, and all the politicians who support us, all the individuals, CBOs, NGOs, whoever out there support us. I thank you everyone, and we are really happy.
Of course, emotional outpouring here in Chennai. They can't be happier at the moment. They're totally overjoyed at this development, hugging, crying, they're bursting party poppers. They're just celebrating here, total ecstasy over here, that they just can't believe that this judgment has come out.
Your heart feels light right now. All the pain has gone.
All right, that was my colleague Siddharth live from Chennai, talking to the LGBTI activists in the city for their initial reaction. I'm now joined by Advocate Geeta Luthra from New Delhi. Good afternoon to you. What's your take on the Supreme Court judgment decriminalizing homosexuality?
Well, I think it's something which everyone was waiting for long. It was expected, it was due, with the pronouncements of the bench, particularly of Justice Chandrachud, that, these aspects impinge privacy, and right to privacy cannot be impacted. One knew that this was going to be what was going to happen. So in a sense, it's a vindication of the judgment of Justice Shah's bench of the Delhi High Court. And I think with one voice, most people will welcome it. Those who may not welcome it may feel that in the domain of the public sphere, somebody may not misuse the judgment, but that's all of law. What is permissible in the private sphere, which is voluntary, can be an offense if it is involuntary or coerced in the public sphere. And that has distinction, obviously, the court has made.
Right.
So I don't see anyone being able to have anything against the judgment, and I think everyone will welcome it with one voice. We have still miles to go, I think, in India with regard to gay, lesbian, LGBT rights. And this is obviously something which is extremely laudatory.
Now, I'm intrigued by what you said just moments ago. You said there are miles to go for the rights of the LGBTIQ in India. Could you throw some light on that particular issue as we speak? I mean, what might be next for this community in India?
I think it will take some time. But the right to have children, the right to marry, that's the way the world is going. And there is no reason why in India we will not, after some time, when this fact of legitimizing it has already been taken, this will also get accepted. But because we are a more conservative community, because the moral values are slowly changing, then the Moors will then start accepting that yes, there can be gay marriages and there can be children in those marriages. There is no reason for anyone to be a closet gay or a closet lesbian any longer. And the social milieu, mostly what is happening in India is that the courts are taking the first step and the social acceptability is taking its time to come. Normally it is social acceptability which comes earlier, and then the law changes. Law is slower to change. Fortunately for us in India, the law in fact is leading the way, and that's what that judgment by the Delhi High Court was, which was then reversed by the Supreme Court. And now we are very fortunate that this new judgment will now be a stepping stone for further rights for the gay and lesbian community, including in all aspects. It's in aspects of employment, it's in aspects of identity. So I think it's a stepping stone in that direction, including in rights to marry, rights to have families, etc.
Indeed, Advocate Geeta Luthra, thank you so much for joining me live from New Delhi. As Advocate Luthra was pointing out, this is a first step, a stepping stone, she says, towards more better rights for the LGBTIQ community in India, namely the right to marry, the right to have children, and other rights, including employment. So this is the first of many more steps to come, she says. But the big news we're tracking as of this moment is that India's Supreme Court, the country's top court, says consensual gay sex is now legal. It has struck down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. Remember, this is a British colonial era law which dates back to 1861. Now, just to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest news coming in from India this moment, India's top court has delivered a landmark verdict. Gay sex is not a crime in India anymore. The 5-judge bench upheld the freedom of choice for the LGBT community, saying that the rights are equal to those of other citizens. India's Chief Justice said that freedom of expression should be allowed, and hence Section 377 must be struck down because it violates Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. Right, we're getting more reactions thick and fast. Let's listen in.
We are all not facing stigma, discrimination from now onwards. Oh, thank you so much, Supreme Court of India. They are legalized LGBTIQ community. Thanks a lot.
And anymore from now onwards, we are not criminal. We can live our life as who we are. We are really happy. Thank you, Supreme Court. Thanks to one and all who are worked for this. We are very happy.
Well, all that I have to say to Supreme Court is a big thank you. Our voice has been heard, and the fact that all the judges came together and it was a consensus decision, that they have respected us, and finally justice has been delivered. This is the happiest day of our lives.
कुछ शब्द नहीं मिल रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से बात करें, क्या बात करें, but yes, finally we feel like that we are the safe, we are our country, think about it, and our constitution think about it. So we are feeling so happy. I'm so proud of it.
Comes in your favor?
I don't know. I mean, right now, to be honest with you, I'm just happy. I'm just happy, and I just hope that the fallout of this verdict would at least pave the way for more civil liberties, more we can now at least walk towards more equality, at least in this country.
All right, joining me live from outside the Supreme Court of India is my colleague Jessica Thaneja. Good afternoon, Jessica. Take us through those final moments inside the courtroom as the judgment was being delivered.
Well, Ramesh, I must say what an outstanding day it has been for us reporters as well inside Supreme Court. With a lot of angst that we were waiting for this verdict for the past 1 hour. But when the judges started pronouncing their verdicts respectively, when the CJI began, we sort of got to the point where the CJI said, in fact, very, very remarkable statements coming in from the Chief Justice of India there. Well, he said the sexual orientation of an individual is their natural right, and discrimination based on sexual orientation is in fact violation of fundamental rights. And this is just one out of the many explanations that the Chief Justice of India gave. And following that, even Justice Rohindra Nariman also pointed out to the fact that Section 377 is unconstitutional. In his judgment, he concluded. But then again, Ramesh, he also made it a point, and he said that the media, both online and television and newspaper, otherwise, need to bring up this issue time and again for creating public awareness. He also, in fact, on the other hand, pointed out that mental health is also an important issue. So most of them, if you remember, during the hearing of the petitions, most of the judges had been, one with this issue, and they had said that mental health is something which gets affected because their rights are taken away. In fact, they have right to liberty, right to freedom, right to equality, as well as the freedom of expression. So given all these constitutional rights in place, striking down Section 377 is only the pertinent thing they could do.
Indeed. And Jessica, for the benefit of viewers who might just be tuning in, walk us through the unanimity of the bench. There are 5 judges on the bench. Talk us through their judgments, concurring judgments on this issue as well.
Well, absolutely. It was a delight to hear what the 5 Supreme Court judges said today. The CJI, in fact, began by saying that the great German philosopher once said that I am what I am. And believe you me, Ramesh, this is what got us to a point to understand that this is, of course, going to be struck down. But what followed later was a very nuanced sort of way of putting out his verdict. And he said that rigorous stereotypes and, other sort of fragile representation of these communities this is the stark reality of our society, and given that this still remains in the shackles of our society, we need to liberate them, we need them to let them be. The freedom of expression, he said, is a choice and should be allowed for any individual, as a matter of fact, even if the person belongs to the LGBTQ community or not. And he said, most importantly, he said that respect them for who they are rather than comparing them to who they are not. So this was one of the big takeaways. And also, when Justice Rohindra Nariman began by saying that persons who are, homosexual have a fundamental right to liberty, such groups are entitled to protection of law just like the other citizens. So, of course, these are the few significant points and sort of part of the judgment of these 5 judges who have given out yet another historic verdict, as it was anticipated in the morning. On my way till here, I met so many activists in LGBTQ community people. They seem to be dancing with joy inside because this is the 3rd time this came to the court. Remember, in 2009, the Delhi High Court had decriminalized homosexuality, and then again the Supreme Court in its 2013 verdict had, sort of turned that around, and now the Apex Court felt that we are living in a modern society, so to say, and these are basic fundamental rights of individuals without looking into their, sexual orientation.
Indeed. Jessica, stay on if you will. I want our viewers listening to some more reactions coming in, that of a former Indian Law Minister, Ashwin Kumar. Let's listen in.
It's a very momentous judgment. The Supreme Court has, consistent with constitutional morality and constitutional jurisprudence, decriminalized homosexuality in various forms. It has built its judgment on the pillars of equality, liberty and human dignity. After the Puttaswamy judgment and after the Nalsa judgment, consistent with the dignitarian ethos of the Indian Constitution, the court, as the custodian of liberties of individuals, has held that excluding the right of choice of individuals is unconstitutional and is not permissible. This is a great day in the evolution of countries' libertarian, humanitarian and dignitarian jurisprudence.
Right, so there you heard Ashwin Kumar saying it, describing it as a great day for jurisprudence in India, that the Supreme Court has struck down Section 377, calling it unconstitutional. Right, I want to go back to my colleague Jessica, who is standing by outside India's top court in Delhi. Jessica, let's talk a bit about the Section 377 itself. This is a British colonial era law, dates back to 1861. So it is a momentous decision in India's contemporary history, isn't it?
Absolutely it is, Ramesh. And if you look at our Indian Constitution, we have a lot of many, sort of Victorian era and, of course, the colonial era provisions which haven't been changed. But slowly the courts are taking, they are full due time. And with this particular judgment, Section 377 has always been a very contentious issue, Ramesh. If you remember, during the hearing, when the Constitution bench was hearing the case, the government had clearly put their, put themselves out in this in this particular case, and they had said that we leave it to the wisdom of the court. So Of course, giving more leeway in the fact that they wouldn't be arguing the case. The centre completely put its hand aside. But at the same time, we had many senior lawyers taking up the battle in the main court, and finally the day is out, and the entire Supreme Court lawns is lit up with people who are celebrating right now. In just a bit, we'll go out there and show you that glimpse as well. And as a matter of fact, it's a big celebration for many lawyers who've been fighting this for like more than, say, 9 years. And this battle has been going on. But Section 377, the kind of provision it is, it criminalizes gay sex, which in fact earlier, as I spoke to many experts say, that was to prevent from marriages to being, from destroying marriages. And since societies have evolved, as you even heard, former Attorney General Ashwin Kumar, who said that this colonial era law had to go because we're living in a modern society, and by modern we mean that the kind of evolution that has taken place. It is important to uphold every individual's right, and the Constitution does certainly guarantee that.
Indeed, a historic day, no doubt, for India. Jessica, thank you for the moment. We'll keep coming back to you as the afternoon progresses for more on this developing story. Meanwhile, viewers, you're watching the continuous coverage here on Wion of the historic decision by India's top court making consensual gay sex legal in India. Just to recap, for the benefit of viewers who might just be tuning in, it's a landmark verdict in India. The country's top court has overturned a 157-year-old law that criminalized homosexuality. A 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court has unanimously ruled that consensual gay sex is not a crime in India anymore. It has ruled that there is nothing unnatural about it. The court upheld the freedom of choice for the LGBT community, saying that their rights are equal to those of other citizens of India. The court also said that Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which criminalizes consensual homosexuality, must be struck down as it violates Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. The court called Section 377 as irrational and arbitrary. Sex with animal under Section 377, however, continues to remain a criminal act. The court said discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is a violation of freedom of expression. Right, so celebrations breaking out across India, and at this point in time, I want to go across one more time to my colleague standing by in Chennai in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Siddharth, walk us through the moments as we see pictures of celebrations breaking out across India. What is happening around you as we speak? Talk to us about the reactions coming in from the LGBT community where you are.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Of course, we are at this NGO in Chennai, LGBTQI NGO in Chennai called Sahodharan. They've been around since 1996. They've been fighting hard for the rights of their community. They've faced several setbacks. There were emotional highs, there were emotional lows, and now they've got the fruit of their fight. They've just got the result of what they've been fighting for all these years. Scenes of extreme jubilation here. They were cutting cakes, they were crying happy tears, they were hugging and kissing each other. This is a moment that they've been waiting for all their lives, and now they believe that they can take themselves forward as a community and they can get integrated into the mainstream in a much more formal manner. And joining me are LGBTQ activists. We have with us Namita here, who's an LGBT activist from Chennai. So she's telling us about what she feels about this judgment.
So until the judgment came, right, until we were following the Twitter, the entire Twitter tree, we did not know what to expect. But then the moment they said that all the judges concur with the same judgment, that was when we realized that it was not a scene for sorrow anymore. So I was doing a live show for another TV channel when that was happening, and I was itching to get out of there and come join my people for a celebration.
Okay, Anish, so what are your thoughts on this? It's a long battle that you've been fighting for this, for the LGBT community. How do you feel now that you've got this landmark verdict from Supreme Court?
God, I can't describe it. This is the verdict not for our bedroom rights. This verdict is for our lives, right, our fundamental rights, and we are very happy because we lost so many lives in this struggle. People don't know how many lives we have lost because from teen to younger, older people, so many people committed suicide all because of this law, because they don't get the chance to express themselves. But right now onwards, we get the chance to express ourselves. We got the courage to come out, and it's a historic day in our life.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a historic day indeed in their lives, as Anish mentioned, that a lot of people in the LGBT community had committed suicide earlier because they did not have the freedom to express themselves.
Indeed, Siddharth, I want to ask a question of both Anish and Namita. If you could ask them this question, what does it feel like to not be seen as a criminal anymore because of this historic verdict? Also, many people around India are saying that this is only a stepping stone for more equal LGBT rights, including the right to marry and to have children. Their thoughts on these issues?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so what does it feel like to not be branded a criminal? Now this law just verdict decriminalizes gay sex. So how does it feel to not be branded as a criminal? And they say that this is also a stepping stone in the larger process. So they say that the LGBT community could expect much more in future, including marriage and the right to adopt children. So could you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So I'd like to start with the outset saying we were never criminals. It was an archaic law that branded us criminals. It's like the Criminal Tribes Act. And it is such a shame that, Free India decided not to read on Section 377 in 1950 when the Constitution came about. So I think justice is long overdue, and it should have happened many, many decades ago. But we are not going to, count a gift horse in the mouth. But at the same time, it is a very scary prospect because just because we got this particular draconian law read down, that doesn't mean people are going to automatically stop, thinking homophobic thoughts. So the larger battle exists there.
But then do you think that this is just a stepping stone and much more could happen?
Right, so there you heard my colleague Siddharth talking to two LGBT activists in Chennai, Namita and Anish. Namita saying that this was justice long overdue, and that the Supreme Court of India striking down Section 377, which was a draconian law, took a long time coming, but they're happy that it is finally a reality in India today. All right, so we are tracking the big news coming out of India this moment. India's top court has declared consensual gay sex as legal in India. It struck down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. Remember, this is a British colonial era law that dates back to 1861. So it's been a 157-year-long law that has finally been struck down by India's top court. And India joins one of those handful of countries which have legalized consensual gay sex. It's a landmark verdict in India. The country's top court has overturned a 157-year-old law that criminalized homosexuality. A 5-judge constitution bench of the court has unanimously ruled that gay sex is not a crime in India anymore. It has ruled that there is nothing unnatural about it. The court upheld the freedom of choice for the LGBT community, saying that their rights are equal to those of other Indian citizens. The court said Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which criminalizes consensual homosexuality, must be struck down as it violates Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. The court said to deny the LGBT community of their right to sexual orientation is a denial of their right to sexual orientation, denial of their citizenship, discriminatory, and a violation of their freedom of expression and privacy.